Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully insert our data and also we create that relation and we display this data name. That means group by and all that our class name is visible, right? So now I want to edit it. And if you want to edit it, you have to do what? We have to edit all the data with the class ID, right? If you now close or browse. So I have already created that group by class ID. That means it should be grouped by all that one class ID, there is a 2 class ID, 3 class ID and the 5 class ID, right? So friend, here I want to actually edit it by this class ID, not this ID. So if you want to do that work, it should be just like that, our same procedure. First of all, in our view, into the view area, I want to create one of the route for this one. So it's simple. I name it as a route. Okay, I name it, route, and into the route area I name one of the name, whatever you choose. So right now I name it as a assign, and then subject, and then edit. Okay, so this type of one of the name. And also after that, right now I am already into the for loop, and with the for loop area I have already get all the data with this all data, right? That is our view page. Means if you go there into the view page, I pass this data as a all data in our view assign subject page, right friend? So now with this we have to actually get this ID. That means with this I name it as a assign. So with this assign here we have to add it. After this, with this assign, I want to access our this table. That means our assigned subject table, this class ID, right? So now I simply add that as a class underscore ID. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend, right? Because of all, we have to edit it by the specific this class ID. So now we have to create this route. I copy it. Now go to our web route. So successfully complete that add, and now that is our story is also completed, and now that is our edit. So if in the edit I name it, that will be as a assigned subject edit, and that will be as a assign, and replace it with the subject and the edit, and then our ID. I have already passed one of the ID. ID means our class ID, right? So I copy it, and then that will be our this class ID. So that will be as a class ID. And then in our assigned subject controller, I want to create one of the method. Method will be as a, I name it as edit, and then assigned subject, right friend? Perfect. Now we have to work here, and that will be same. I better copy it from our free category amount, and you can see that is same. So I now copy this. Okay, I copy it. Now go there, I paste it. So I paste it. I have already created that structure. So right now for our this assigned subject controller, I name it as edit subject. That means the assigned subject. I copy it. So that will be method will be as edit assigned subject, and also they have the ID. So right now our ID is not this one. This will be as a class ID, right? So right now I use that as a class ID. Perfect. And then I take one of the variable as edit data, our model name. So right now we are using our model name as a assigned subject model. So here it will be as a assigned subject model, where our this table at this class ID will be matched with our requested ID. So that is our field name as the same as a class ID. So when it will this class ID will be matched with our this requested class ID, right? When it will be matched, then it will be order by as a class ID at the ascending order. Better I not that class ID, it should be get this data by the subject ID. Okay, so now I make it as a subject underscore ID, underscore ID. Okay, so it should be get that with the subject ID, the ascending order. Perfect. And then it should be get all the data, and perfect. So that's all. Okay, so that's all you have to do. So if you want to check it by the DD, I think you already know in previous section I have already discussed about that things with you. So if you want to check it, you can check it with this, and then that will be the same. We need to load both of this. Right? Better I copy it. Okay, better I copy total things. I copy total things from here, and after this here I want to replace it and I paste it. Okay, so that will be, I think you already remembered that part. That is our I get all the data from our school subject, because here also we have to load all that our school subject, right? And also we have to load all that our class. So I get all the data, take the things with this variable as a subject and the class, and in our backend That is our setup, and then I have already created one of the folder as a assigned subject, and now I want to create another one that will be not that add, that will be as edit underscore, okay, edit underscore, and then assign subject. So this type of one of the file I want to create. So now copy it, now go to our assigned subject folder. So that is our assigned subject. Here I create on the new file. Now click as a save as, now name it as a edit assigned subject.blade.php. okay, so I simply create it. So it will be just like our add assigned subject. So for now I copy everything from our add assigned subject. Okay, I close it, and now in our edit, into the edit, here I paste it. Perfect, because of all here I have already created that structure for all that field. So for the reasons here, everything will be just like that same. Okay, so I just simply change it. It will be edit assigned subject, right? And then that is will be for our update. So I will do that things later. That is on class will be same. Here we don't need to change anything. This student subject will be the same. Here we don't need to change anything, right? So only we have to add some of the conditions, because it should be as a selected, right? So if you want to add that as a selected, better if you go to our fee amount edit page. Into the edit page, what exactly we did, we get this data, and here we just put one of the condition. Better I copy this condition. Okay, I copy it from our fee amount edit. So I copy it, and then you're into the edit assigned subject. After this value, into this value area, I simply paste it. Okay, so here what exactly we have to do, right now, that is I pass all the data with this edit, that means the edit data, so that will be perfect. So with this edit data, that will be, I want to get that our 0 index data, and into the 0 index where our class ID, right? So that will be our class underscore ID. Okay, where our class ID will be our this class table ID. Then it should be as a selected, else it should be display as a nothing, right? I hope it's very much clear to you, friends. So that with this I want to access our this ID, that means this table and this class ID. When this class ID will be matched with our this student class table, this ID, then it should be selected rather than it should be display as a nothing. Okay, perfect. And also that is our all that data. So here we have to load all the data, right? Because I have already passed all that our classes as a class. Here you can see, for the reasons here I have take that as a classes, and that the subject. So that is our all the subject data. So also here I have used that as a subject, and with the subject it should be loaded. So first of all I want to actually add that our for each loop. If you go to our edit, here you can see I have added one of the for each loop, and I loaded total things. So it should be just like that same. Better I copy it. Okay, I copy it, and also it should be needed one of the for the delete icon. So I will do that things also. Better I copy both of these, because here also we have to add that delete button. So I copy it, and now go to our edit. So here I did that before that row. So here I also want to do the same things. Okay, before this row, that means after this class, I want to paste it. Okay, I paste it. So that will be for each, and also we have to finish it. So after that row we have to finish it. So I just simply select it. You can see there is a after that row, and after that row I want to select. So that means that will be the and for each, right? And also we have to end that div. So that is actually our last div, right? Because I have already taken one of the div. So now you can see that is actually our div. Perfect. So friend, that's all we have to do. And also maybe I did the same things on here. You can see that is actually our and remove delete. So better I also put that comment for you. So I also want to put that comment. So that is actually our and delete. So that will be actually before this, that means after that row, right? After that row, that will be as a remove delete, and that is our and for each. Perfect. So friend, here from to this position I pass all the data. I pass all the data with this as edit data, that means our specific ID data. So I take that things with this variable, and that is our edit data. Now with this edit I want to put that condition, that means this subject should be as a selected. So for the reasons here, what exactly I did, you can see there is the same condition. I just simply copy it. I have already created that structure, and now in our value, that is a subject. So after this I paste it. Okay, so now with this edit, I want to access our which field? I want to access our this subject field, and that means this subject ID, right? So when this subject field will be matched with our another table, if you go, there is our another table as a school subject, right? When this will be matched, that means when this subject ID will be matched with our this subject table, this ID, then I want to get this name. That means it will be as a selected. Simple work. So now that is actually our subject ID. So that will be as a subject, JECT subject underscore ID. Okay, make that sure spelling is correct. So when this subject ID will be matched with our, here I get all the data. Take the things with this variable. So with this, now we have to access this ID, right? That means in our subject table ID. So that is our subject table, and in the subject table this ID. Perfect. So when it will be equal, then it will be selected, else it will be display nothing, and then with this subject I want to visible that subject name. Perfect. Okay, friends, so that's all you have to do on here. And after this, here we have to actually load that value. So if you go to our this one, you can see that will be just like that. So I copy it, and after that I paste it. That will be as a value. So I have already passed that into the for each loop. In the for each loop, I name it as a with our this edit, right? So now with this edit, I want to visible rest of this field, or that will be as a full mark. That means in our database field, here as a full mark, pass mark, and the subjective mark. Perfect. That means here it will be display as a edit full mark. I copy it, then that will be the same. That will be also the same. So that will be as a pass mark, and that will be as a subjective mark, right, friend? And also after that, I want to add another minus icon. So for the edit, if you go, you can see that I have also used that another span for the minus. So now I copy it. So for the reasons, actually I added this div. So now after that I paste it. Okay, so now that will be as a two button will be loaded. One will be as a plus button, one will be as a minus button. Perfect. So that's all. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, okay, if you now click as a save all, and here you don't need to change anything, everything will be just like that same. Now if you click as a save all, and now go there, click as a refresh. Now there is our class one. So if you now click as a edit, there is actually another one as an undefined variable as a category. Where actually I am using this category, that is our edit assigned subject blade. Let's check this out where I'm actually using this category. That is in here. That means in particular this page. You can see that is actually a category. I copy it. So for the reasons, actually it should be what? It should right now into the for each loop. Into the for each, I have take this all that classes data. That means here edit data, I take these things with this variable. So now I take it with these classes as a class now. So with this class we have to actually use this ID. Perfect. I think it's very much clear to you. And then here also I have changed it. You can see there is a subject. Perfect. So now it's perfect. Now click as a save all. Now refresh it. Yes, you can see. Perfect, friend. You can see every data is now selected. Every subject is now selected. Every class name is selected. That means there is a one, so that our class name is also selected, right? Perfect. And if you go again the assigned subject, that is our class 2. Click as edit. Yeah, class 2 is selected. Health, English, Hindi, mathematics, arts, mark, pass marks, subjective marks, every part is now selected, right, friend? So now we have to update. So better I want to change that button name. So that is your edit page. Here that is actually our submit button. I want to change that value will be as update. Okay, that will be as update. So now our update here we have to create this route. So this route will be as a, not this one, better here from our free controller edit. I have already did that work, so why I'm actually spending that time? So I just simply copy it. Okay, I copy that route. This route will be just like that same, and now here I simply paste it. So that will be as a route, and then update, and then assign. Okay, assign, and then that will be as a assign subject. So this type of one of the assign subject, and then edit data. That means also here I use that same, right? That is our edit data, and I pass it in our edit assign subject. So now with this edit data, I want to access that zero index data, right? Remember, I hope you already remembered that part. That will be actually our zero index data. You can see that is actually our zero index data, and then our which data, that will be our class ID, right? Obviously I want to update it with the class ID, so that will be our class underscore ID. Okay, so that will be our class ID. I hope you understand that part very well. So that is actually our class ID. This position is good. So that is our class ID, and with this class ID I want to update. So that will be our update URL. So now let's create this update URL. I copy it. Now go to our web route, into the web route. So that is actually our update. So I make it as a update assign subject. That will be as a assign, and then the subject, our URL as a assign subject, update, and then our ID, right? So I have already passed this ID, our ID name as a, and this one as a class ID, right? So that is our class ID. I copy it, so that will be updated by the class ID, right? I have already grouped this class ID, all the data, so it will be updated with this. So now we have to create this one of the method in our assign, that means assign subject controller. I want to create one of the method as a update assign subject, as a update, and then assign subject. So now we have to create this method. This will be just like our here I want to go to, there is a view page. So right now we don't need this view page. That is our free amount controller. From to this position I want to actually copy this update portion. Okay, so that is actually total update portion. I copy total things, so that will be just like same. I will customize it as per our demand. Okay, copy everything. Now go to our assign subject controller, and after this I paste it. Okay, so I paste it. That will be our method name. Our method name now will be as a update assign subject. So that will be as a object assign subject request, and then our ID. Our ID right now as a class ID. So now I use that as a class ID, the request, and the class ID. So that means when this request our which field here, here I put one of the condition, that is actually our subject field, right? When our subject field will be as a empty, okay, then it will be actually show some of the error. So that is our field name. Our field name as a subject underscore ID. So now I name it as a subject underscore ID. When our subject ID will be equal null, then it should be displayed on the notification. Sorry, you don't have select any subject. Okay, subject. So this type of one of the message it should be display. That will be as a error type. And then it should be redirect to our edit page with the ID. So for the edit page, I have already created it. That is our assign subject edit with this ID. So that will be as a assign subject edit with our ID name as a class ID, right? So that will be as a class ID. Perfect. That's part. That means our validation part should be work. Now check it. Now click as a save all. Now if you go there, click as a refresh. So now it's showing on the error as a syntax error unexpected. This that means this one is actually missing in our edit assign subject plate. What exactly I did wrong? So that is actually, you can see it's notice that there is they have some of the issues in our this route. That is actually the route. Here you can see I didn't add it. Okay, so I understand that part. If you now go to our edit assign here, that's our route I have created. There is a first bracket. You can see I didn't end this first bracket. Okay, so that is actually the issue. So after this here, make that you and it, right? That will be the and one, because of all that is our route, and that is our route and on here, right? So that is a route, and after that also I pass that our ID index. Better I put that one line. So you can see that is actually the missing, that was actually missing this one. Perfect. Now it should be work. So that is actually our error. Now click as a save all. Now let's check this out. Click as a refresh. Yeah, you can see it. Perfect. So right now friend, I have already put that condition. If our this subject ID will be missing, I remove every data, only this one, click as update. Now it should be display another error. You can see the sorry, you do not select any subject. That means our validation is also perfectly working. That means that is actually our validation, right? So when it will be check it our subject ID, when our subject ID will be as equal null, then it will be display this message, and then it will be return redirect to our edit page with a specific this ID. For the reasons you can see it's now redirected to our edit page with this specific requested ID. Okay, so now I want to do and to update it. That means after that will be as a count. So there is a count class, there is a count. If you want to change that, you can change it. So with this request, that will be obviously our subject ID, right? That will be as a subject. Okay, subject underscore ID. So that is our subject ID, and then our condition here only you have to do up to updated this condition. This condition will be what? This condition will be our model. That means right now we are using this model that will be assigned subject, where our assigned subject field. So right now our ID, actually this class ID, right? That means when our this table and this class ID will be matched with our this requested ID, then it will be actually updated, right? So now I simply add that as a database class ID, and then that is our requested class ID. Requested class ID means actually, as I told you, that is actually our requested class ID, right? So now when it will be matched, then it will be deleted our all that old data, and after that it will be updated this data. Okay, after that there is a for loop here. It will be just like that same, only right now to insert all that our field data. So better I copy it. Okay, I copy total things into the store, so it will be restored this data again. So I copy it, and then here it will be restored all that our data. So that is our object. There is perfect class ID, subject ID, full mark, pass mark, and the subjective, and that save this data. So it will be then display one of the messages, data updated successful, and after that it will be returned redirect to our which page? It will be returned direct to our view page. That means the assigned subject view. I copy it. That means that will be redirected to our particular this page. Okay friend, so that's all. I hope every part is very much clear to you what exactly the things I did on here, right? So I have checked that validation. If everything okay, now it should be updated this data. Now click as a save all, and now I want to do and to click as a refresh. So I mark it as a not the 300, I mark it as a 20. Okay, I mark it as every field as a 20, and also I remove as a 2. Okay, 3 I remove it, only I take it as a health and the English for the class 2. Now click as update. Yes, you can see data updated successful. So now if you go to our class 2, again I click as edit. Yes, you can see it's perfectly updated. That is our 2 of this is now visible, and here I have also updated that mark as a 2020. And now if you want to add that multiple one, you can add it. So better in the I want to in that mathematics, and I make it as a same. Okay, I make it as a 33 again. I make it as a 33, not this one. It will be as a 33. Okay, so that is all that our subject. Now click as update it again. It's now perfectly data updated successful. If you now go to again that class 2, yeah, it's perfect. Every data is now selected, every part is now selected. So friend, here we successfully complete also our edit at the update portion. I hope you enjoyed very much. So next video I will discuss about that view details. So here I have already get all that our group by data in our class 1, class 2, class 3 and class 4, right? So now I want to do individually, I want to visible all that our group by data in our details page. So how can do that work? In our next video I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.